How's it going, guys? Welcome back. So the beta is officially out. It's been out a couple days now. We've had a pretty good chance to go out there and play quite a few games. So today we're going to go out there. We're going to give our little review of what I'm thinking of the beta so far. Maybe some things you guys can learn from the beta as well if you haven't quite picked up on everything yet. On the way some of the new features are working so far. First and foremost, though, before we do go into this review, I cannot stress enough before everybody gives their feedback on the beta. First of all, keep in mind this is an 8-week-old beta tuner that is not quite updated. They have the patch and everything on that list on an EA article, which honestly I read through all the stuff. Not a lot of major stuff being changed there, so it's not too big of a deal to me. But make sure when you're playing the beta, try to play every single game mode. Now I know it's harder for some people if you can't play online, or some people can't, find out people to play ESHL with, so that can be a little bit tougher. But I cannot stress the amount of how much different the game is from playing a drop-in threes game compared to an actual ESHL threes game compared to an online versus game. The gameplay is different in every single game mode. Like, there's no question, it always has been. So it's definitely, like, you have to make sure you try out every single mode to try to get your feel for it, because it's not all going to feel the same for you. It's going to be a little bit different. Try to play 3 or 4 games of each one if you can. That being said, though, bringing up the online versus stuff, I know a lot of things you always hear early in the year is, oh, the game's really slow. The game's really slow. Well, that's because you're playing with lower overalls. They're going to be slower. It's going to feel slower because when you get later in the year, especially in HUT, you go from using them 83s, them 95s and 96s, you're going to feel like, it's going to feel a lot slower. And, point blank, it's going to feel slower, especially when you're playing online versus, when you're rocking guys that are 78, 90, 79, 80, 81 on your third and fourth line that are rocking 80, 82 overalls at the same time with their speed. So do keep that in mind. The game isn't really, I feel like it's perfect, really. I don't feel like it's too fast. I don't feel like it's too slow, which is different because usually betas, they take a little adjusting from it. I actually like this one. I'm a pretty big fan of this one right now. Some of the bigger things that I'm actually enjoying so far that you can notice. First of all, tie-ups. Being one that plays center all the time and I take my face-off draws probably more seriously than the wins these days, but tie-ups, you get the puck off the tie. You used to have to push them clean or you could never hardly grab the puck last year. Honestly, when you tied them up and you didn't want it clean, I think it went to the other team more than your team. Now it more, I guess, magnetizes to the stick, which, magnetizes to the stick, but at the same time, it was so, messy. It is just tie-ups. I am happy that's the way they went the tie-ups this year, where it's a lot easier for you to pick it up, whether it's a clean face-off or not a clean face-off when it comes to the tie-up. Another thing is the radius of your player, and by that I mean how far you can reach with your stick, forwards, backwards, sideways. I think this has a lot to do with why it feels like there's a lot more space when you're playing now, because between this and just the in general aggressiveness so far I've been playing, I can notice it feels like you have a lot more space. Like, I think the closing speed, maybe it's the reception of the passes that are keeping the speed going quicker for guys as well, but it feels like you have a lot more time on the ice. Like, it used to be, the second you pass it down low, you'd have like 3 AIs on top of you right away. Now it seems like you have a little bit more time to work around, and I like having that. I like having a little bit more space like that. I think it's nicer. But back to the radius thing. If you pay attention, if you watch, you probably wonder, why did my guy pick that puck up? Why didn't my guy pick that puck up? He should have picked that puck up. The reason I've noticed so far, a lot of the times I'm questioning that. It's like, well, should he have picked that puck up? It was pretty far away from the guy. And in last year's game, he would have picked that up. But I mean, I like what they're doing with this, because they're just, essentially, when I say the radius, your reach is not as far as it used to be, and your peripheral vision and everything like that is not as far as it used to be. You have to be in better position. You have to be closer to the puck. You can't nonchalantly, lazily go and pick that puck up, which you could do a lot last year, and I was definitely one that did that a lot. Like, I'd be going up the boards, the puck could be a couple feet away from me, but it's not a big deal. I don't have to go towards that puck. It'll pick it up. Now they're requiring you to actually go to that puck. It requires a little bit more skill to get close to that puck. So I do like seeing that. And if you're having a problem, try to keep that in mind. If you're going up the boards, like, why didn't I grab that? Like, pay attention to the direction you're going. If you're going the wrong direction and the puck's going, even if it's only a couple feet away from you, that's probably why you're not getting a puck. You have to be closer to it. But the thing is also, though, the reason I like this a lot is because you're noticing this year with the puck pickups, I brought up the word magnet earlier. We're going to call it a magnet again. That is, your stick feels more like a magnet with the puck this year, where you're picking the puck up a lot more. But again, you're in that smaller radius. So even though you're getting the puck picks up a lot easier, and it's gluing to your stick, if that's what you want to call it, it's in a smaller radius. So I like that. The more, you have to be closer to the puck. You can't lazily grab it. So it's not like it's magnetizing to your stick from 3 miles away. You have to be really close to it. I think it's rewarding people that are in a great position and doing, great passes, great breakouts and stuff. They're not losing a puck. It's not going to them. So I do like seeing that added in the game this year. So from an offensive standpoint, I think the game's good. If you're an offensive guy, you play a lot more offense than defense. You have the computers control your defenders, so on and so forth. I think it's fantastic. The one thing I would say that is a problem with the offense, it's more of a defensive thing, is the defensive AI in threes. They continue to have the defender go up the ice, and it's like a 3-on-0 every time, and your defender never stays back. I don't know what's going on with that. It'd be nice to get fixed that. It's the aggressiveness thing. It was a problem last year, didn't really get completely fixed, but your defender, when you play threes, always comes up in the middle of the play with, you know, both of your wingers could be both up there in a 2-on-1. The defender would be like, let me split the uprights between you two, help you guys out. So when the play doesn't go well, it's a 3-0 the other way. But besides that, from an offensive standpoint, not a lot of problems there. But from a defensive standpoint, me being a defensive lover that I am, I honestly, it's got some work. The defensive side has a lot of work. Because here's the thing, when you play defense, especially in this game, now I've been a big fan of it, wanting this in the game for a very long time, and that is, if you get burnt, you should not catch the player from behind. And this year, that is the case. If you get burnt, you're not catching a player from behind. That is fantastic. The speed actually feels like it matters. If you're a fast guy, you can tell you're fast compared to a slower guy, but the problem we're having here is players are getting burnt just straight lining it. Like if you're playing defense and you have the guy in front of you and you're keeping him in front of you, even if you have a little bit of space between you and him, he can just straight line straight past the defender very easily because of speed. I don't know how they fix it. It sounds kind of difficult when you put it this way, but there has to be a way where you can back skate with the guy in front of you, where you're being able to keep, you know, in front of him, because he shouldn't be blowing by you if you're perfectly positioned trying to just keep the guy in front of you, but he can just straight line right past you. Right now it's killing you, but I can see why that's going to be difficult, because if you do that, you don't want it to be where, again, like I said, the guy can catch him from behind. I guess there'd be a thing like you're skating backwards and you can somehow contain the player. I don't know, that'd be a feature, I guess, containing the player, like a button that you would just contain the player when you're close to him so he can't get past you. They do something like that in FIFA where you contain him. I guess that'd be something. That'd be some sort of way, but you have to do something about the defense right there, or the defenders are not going to be happy this year, because you can just, like I said, you just straight line past them. And the thing is also that you're going to have difficulty with when it comes to defender. The poke check does feel a little bit better. It's better, but it's meh at the same time. Like, you're getting a lot more stick to stick. It's bouncing back and forth a lot farther instead of just going right back to him. But you still have the problem where if you LT cut, it's not as powerful. Thank you for nerfing that in the first place. But you still have the thing where the guy, if he LT cuts really quickly, like slides back and forth really quick, doesn't go backwards into the zone, you poke the puck, you stick lift him, it always goes right back to him. Always goes right back to him. So you're really putting defenders in a tough spot there when you can't use your defensive tools, because this guy's LT cutting, which really, logically speaking, if he's cutting across the ice, left to right, and you poke check it, the puck probably should either go backwards or it should go the opposite direction, just based on physics. It should not go right back on his stick. So that is my problem. If they could fix that, that would be great. And of course, obviously, it's been in the game since the beginning of last year, and that is poke checks where you're directly in front of the guy and you trip him. I'm all for having the poke checks nerfed, all for not being able to spam him, but you most certainly should be able to poke check a guy when he's directly in front of you, and that has been a problem since the beginning of last year, where you can have it perfectly lined up, but if you get too close to him, instead of poking the puck, you go through the puck and go straight to his legs and trip him onto the ground. But from a defensive perspective, I think that is my biggest pet peeve. Like I said, though, I can't express how much I actually love the skating this year. It feels so much smoother. Maybe it's, like I said, maybe it's the pass receptions this year that's really, really nice. One thing that is a little bit difficult, I guess, for forwards is wrapping right now. The wraparound's kind of difficult, but I don't know what they're trying to do with that. They don't want you to be able to, they want you to be able to move freely and feel really good, but at the same time, if you give too much freedom and then you let the perfect wraps happen, it's going to become really cheesy, so I know they're trying to avoid something like that. But as far as, let's say, besides the defense, the one other problem I will say I don't really have, but I am all but guaranteeing it will be a problem at the beginning of the year. I guarantee there's going to be complaining. The question is, will EA do something about it? And will we go down the same route last year where we listen to the complainers that are mad because they can't score the way they used to score? I am talking about the good old short side cheese. The goalies do an excellent job this year of coming out and challenging it. Now, they don't stop everyone, just like they don't stop every one-timer, but they they shouldn't. They're going to let goals in at the end of the day. They should let one-timers in. You don't want the one-timer to go in. I've always been a big advocate is this, get in a passing lane, right? Like the short side's one thing maybe, where you could say it's a little bit harder to defend even if you try to block the shot or something, but the one-timer, get in a pass lane, you stop it. Regardless, both of them, the goalie's a lot better with this year. The short side gets saved a lot more, and I know that's going to frustrate people because, I can't score my short side goals anymore. How am I going to score? The goalies are a lot better. We'll just put it that way. The question is, see, we went into NHL 19 with better goalies, but the really good, the really good players that love short side and all this other stuff, they complained about it, and then they nerfed the goalies, made it easier for those guys that love cheesing to score. So that is kind of where I'm wondering right now how we go. Besides the defense needing a major tweak, I kind of wonder what happens here because I think the game's in a great position, but you gotta make sure I guess, what do we say? You gotta make sure you don't listen to the people that are mad they can't do something anymore just because that was something they was really good at when it comes to tuning the game, because I feel like that was a problem last year. Where, oh, you know, that's another thing actually I completely forgot about. I completely forgot about hitting. Hitting's broken. It's just like, honestly, the two biggest problems going into the game this year, almost the same problems as last year. The goalies were really good, which I didn't really have a problem with, and the hitting is broken. I came full board into guys in this game. Like, you could say, oh, you gotta square him up. I don't think it gets any more square than the one time this guy came up to me in an online versus game, hit me square in the jaw. I just bounced right off and kept going like nothing happened. Like, no, there's definitely a problem with the hitting this year, where you can, I understand if you're a smaller guy and it wants to be hard to knock him off the puck and stuff, but like you can literally bounce off two guys like a pinball and not lose the puck and it just stays right on your stick and stuff. Like, that is most definitely a problem where you should be able to hit the guy, especially if it's more difficult to poke and stick lift and stuff when guys are like side to side. And right now it feels like you can either do that with hitting where it's really, really difficult to knock him off the puck, or the extreme opposite where you knock him off the puck and you get a penalty for hitting him too hard. So you definitely got to find you know, the fine tuning in that one right there. But last but not least, the goalie. Now, I don't play goalie. I haven't used their goalie. Don't really have a desire to. But I have noticed that this goalie does let in the short side and has a post problem a little bit. I don't know if that's just the people I've been playing with or me. But I was more worried about the computer goalie. Like we said, the computer goalie, he's been playing great. The computer goalie just shuts you down every single game. So I think they did a good job there. Now, the rebounds are still cheesy. Like, you know, they brought up a big trailer about it. And people said, well, they did the same thing with, was it poke check? They did something last year at the trailer just like that, same thing. I forget what it was now. But, you know, it's going to happen. Rebounds should happen. I never really thought they needed a nerf. I didn't think that was that big of a deal. I think the rebounds, it was one of those things where the really good players, they short side to score goals, and the average players, they try to do, you know, they try to throw turds on net and get rebounds. Every single way is just as effective. A rebound is just as effective as a short side is, in essence, a lot of the time. That might sound crazy, I know, but, I mean, you're throwing a puck in front of the net and it's sitting there. You know, like, that's a golden scoring opportunity that happens in real life. So honestly, I never really had a problem with it being in the game, but it is still in the game, even though they did say they patched a little bit. But the difference is you can redirect it a little bit more this year, though. So that's definitely in there where you can redirect it, push it to the side. But it's nice to see you can still throw the rebounds on the net. Otherwise, that's pretty much all I got on the beta. Spoiler alert, by the way, the 81-man eliminator. It's pretty much the same thing as NHL 1's last year with the different names, if you didn't know. But, you know, if you like that kind of stuff, you like that kind of stuff. But, you know, we didn't really play much of that. Seeing how it was set up, I was like, all right, gotcha, understood there. Like I said, though, try to play all 3 game modes, though, if you can. Get the time. Let me know what you guys think about the beta. As always, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you guys for watching. See you next time.